Hello and welcome to Ham Nation episode 495 for May 26, 2021. Got a huge show for you today. Thanks so much for coming out. And hello everybody, I am Josh Nass, KI6NAZ. Boy, we have a packed show, and I'm so glad you could make it out with us today. We are going to be talking about the inductees to the DX Hall of Fame. We are going to be talking to Amy and Jerry about Tilt 5. It's so glad to have them on the show, as well as Joe Eisenberg is going to talk to us a little bit about meters, and of course we're going to have Amateur Radio Newsline as well. But before we kick off all of that, let's talk to the hosts. We've got a full packed room even in the host room today. So starting up at Joe. How you doing, Joe?
Well, hi, Josh, and greetings from stormy Lincoln, Nebraska. And I'm going to be talking about my latest projects and what kind of meters are available for kit builders, because a meter is a really important thing for those of us that build kits.
I agree. Randy has a new viewpoint into his shack. I love the new camera placement. How are you doing, Randy?
Doing good. We're having a good time here. It's nice and sunny in Gold Beach, Oregon on the left coast tonight.
Very good. Amanda, swinging it around. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. And in fact, I'm really looking forward to this show. A lot of great content. Everyone stay tuned. You're going to have to rewatch this just to catch up. And I'll be paying attention to the chat, taking all your questions for our lovely guests. And anything you want to throw at us, let us know.
Yeah, please do. The chat is live. We are monitoring, and we take pauses throughout the show to take questions. So when you have a question, we're catching them. So thanks for doing that. Dawn, looking spiffy in your 100 watts and a wire shirt there. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Yeah, Christian lost his mind and apparently invited me on Saturday, so I'll be on, I think, for the full hour. Peoria, you're on too. I'll be on for the do a horrible Larry King. I'll be on with Christian on 100 watts and a wire on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Central. So check that out. Was on with Tom Medlin last night on Ham Radio Roundtable, talking all about Young Ham of the Year. The deadline is coming up Monday at midnight, and we'll have more information on that. And an extremely excited Dr. T. The sun's blowing up.
Oh.
She said, listen, she used the term machine gun. You'll see it. It's all coming up in the Ham Nation segment.
That's a good way to bait people into sticking around.
She's very excited.
Val, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Having fun playing on 6 meters. It's been getting some nice openings these last few weeks. It's just going to be a great summer, I think, on 6, I hope. And getting ready for this WPXCW contest this weekend. So having a ball with that. But why don't I kick it off and go right into our first segment tonight. We have a special announcement. It's already made the news, but Bob Schenk, N2OO, who is the CQ Magazine DX editor, is going to announce this year's inductees into the DX Hall of Fame. Take it away, Bob.
Thanks a lot, Val. Appreciate everything you guys are doing and letting us do this under these trying circumstances. We usually do this in Dayton every year, so we saved these two guys a long trip. The following is from the DX column of CQ Magazine, November 1967, written by then DX editor John Attaway, K4IIF. Several months ago, the decision was made to create a DX Hall of Fame. An appropriate announcement appeared in the July issue, and as a result, 14 names were submitted to the CQ DX Awards Advisory Committee for consideration. Each person nominated was carefully evaluated by the committee. It was concluded that a certain few of the nominees had made contributions to DX which merited this honor. However, in the committee's judgment, the majority still had not made a contribution worthy of the ultimate award. The name of one man was mentioned more than any other. This man was the clear choice of both readers and the committee to be the first member of the CQDX Hall of Fame. He was Mr. Gus M. Browning, W4 Bravo Papa Delta, the distinguished doctor of DX from South Carolina. Thus, the DX Hall of Fame was born, and there could not have been a better choice at that time. The activities and accomplishments that qualify one for membership in this elite group, called the CQ DX Hall of Fame, involves considerable personal sacrifice and can usually be described by the phrase above and beyond the call of duty. It is not enough to just be a DXpedition team member. A number of times to be in the DX Hall of Fame, you might need to have the foresight to organize DXpeditions to the very hard to reach entities around the globe, or perhaps work on diplomatic ways to open amateur radio in the countries where politics exclude it. It's not enough to just accomplish the many awards available. Regardless of how difficult to be in the DX Hall of Fame, you might need to have the foresight to create better ways for us to track and accomplish those awards. Bearing all this in mind, tonight we will be inducting two very special DXers into the CQ DX Hall of Fame. Our first inductee is Jackie Calvo, ZL3 Charlie Whiskey, stroke Fox 2 Charlie Whiskey. Jackie worked for the French Air Force for 19 years, which included 7 years on diplomatic staff. He also was on the International Committee of the Red Cross for 10 years. His primary responsibility was related to telecommunications. Jackie has participated on numerous DXpeditions. This included, among all the other ones, 7 trips to Kermadec Island, where he volunteered his time to install and maintain New Zealand Department of Conservation telecom facilities on Raoul Island. In 1996, Jackie and Sue immigrated to Tauranga, New Zealand, which happens to be the home port for the Braveheart. Nominated by the Intrepid DX Group, congratulations to Jackie, ZL3 Charlie Whiskey, stroke Fox 2 Charlie Whiskey. Take it away, Jackie.
Thank you very much. I'm a bit overwhelmed, I should say, because I did not expect that, and it's always nice to feel you are appreciated and what you do help people and they recognize it. But the first thing is we enjoy it. We live the dream, and that's all about the dream, you know, traveling and making friends, and I mean, it's unbelievable, this hobby, what we can get out of it, you know. It's not only for you guys, I do it, but it's also for myself, you know, dreaming. The dream is free, and we have to take it while we are still alive, you know. And thank you very much for the nomination, and for Paul from the I'm a bit emotional, but from the Intrepid DX Club. It was really, I met Paul once only, and he did very well himself as well. And I wish him good luck to go to Bouvet, where I've been once already. And I didn't realize at the time how difficult it would have been to go to Bouvet 30 years down the track, or 25 years. So many people try to go there, and we had no problems 25 years ago. I don't know what is going on. Maybe the weather pattern is changing, and it's getting more and more difficult to reach this remote island. So I wish them all the best. I wish I could make it again anyway. So I don't know if my time is up.
No, I did. Jackie, approximately how many DXpeditions or DX entities have you operated from?
Yeah, when you sent me the question, I had a quick look. I printed a DXSA list because I probably have forgotten some, but I add up to 56 countries where I have been active.
Wow, that's a lot of DX going to.
I don't know, but that's a lot of traveling and meeting people and being able to operate from this station.
Yeah.
So,
amazing. And how long have you been in the hobby?
Not very long. I mean, not very long. I got first license in Djibouti in Africa in 1979. Okay. So I don't know how many years it is. But before that, I was in the Air Force. I joined the Air Force, and I was a radio operator. I discovered Morse code. I was 17. But in those days, that was a job, you know. And I never thought I would become a ham radio, being a professional of radio. But over the years, I met people and they said, "Why don't you join amateur radio?" I said, "What is it?" You always ask yourself, what is amateur radio? I'm a professional radio, not an amateur radio. And then I became to be a marginal because when you're a professional, you tell your colleague, I'm ham radio. Oh, what's that? So you explain, you say, you don't have enough of working Morse code. I said, no, it's enjoyable. And when you're ham radio, you told them you're a professional operator. They said, oh, well, that's crazy. Why do you do that, So we become marginal. It's a breed, a very endangered breed, because now with all the technology, of course, Morse code is left behind and FT8 is coming up. If you call CQ on the band on Morse code, you have only little activity, apart from contests. That's why I enjoy contesting, because at least the band will be busy. But the rest of the time, there is a FT8 for you.
Yeah. Well, with the low solar cycles, and you know what I mean, and it helped out. But
I like 58. Don't misunderstand.
Yeah, same here. Yeah. It's something to do till the sunspots start coming back. But well, congratulations, well deserved. Nice honor, and hopefully I get to work you from a nice island soon.
Thank you, and see you in the WPX. I will be Zulu Lima 25, New Zealand, NZ.
Okay.
To celebrate my quarter century in New Zealand since I immigrated here.
Okay.
Awesome.
Nice. All right, Bob.
Okay. Jackie, it's been a pleasure.
Yes.
Hope we can share a beer sometime.
Stay for Q's questions.
Yeah, don't go away. Okay, now on to our second inductee. Our second inductee is Francesco, I hope I pronounce it right, Valsecchi?
Yeah, Valsecchi,
okay. Italy, Kilo Zero, Foxtrot, Victor Charlie, Stroke, Hotel, Victor Zero, Alpha. Francesco has continuously kept the Vatican City station on the air for some 30 years. Wow. Since 1994, Francesco has also been instrumental in activating amateur radio station 1 Alpha Zero Kilo Mike, located at Villa Malta, seat of the Magisterium of the Sovereign Military Order of Malta, SMOM, as us hams know it. These two DX realities in the past 3 decades have been led and supported by Francesco, who has managed them with a wise, hard, and long work of diplomatic relations with the highest hierarchies of these countries. This activity, unique to the world, has required and continues to require an economic and organizational effort no less difficult than that of organizing an expedition to a remote entity. Over 300,000 contacts have been made from these two entities since the 90s, utilizing all bands and modes. Nominated by the ARI, which is the Italian Amateur Radio Association, Rome section, Zoro Miyazawa, JH1 Alpha Juliet Tango, RT Lane, OH2BH, and the OHDX Ring, Franz Langner, DJ9ZB, and Joe Pater, W8GEX. I kind of think there might be a little organizational effort here done.
I think those are some heavy hitters there.
Congratulations to Francesco Valsecchi, IK0FBC stroke HV0A. Take it away, Francesco.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Val. Thank you, Jack. I have a little speech. May I read it? Just give me a couple of minutes. Bob.
You got 5 seconds. No, I'm just kidding. Go.
It's only 1 page. YL DXers, my friends, the prestigious award that is given to me today and that I accept with a great pleasure is one of those goals that follows you from the very beginning of the DX activity. So important, yet so far to the limits of reachability is the exclusive club of the best, attainable only by those who participated in many DXpeditions or who have given so much to the world of DX. I must say that the thought of being able to reach this point has never crossed my mind, and yet, almost as if by magic, on the evening of May 12, I received an email from Bob N200 in which I was informed that the miracle had come true. I will always keep the memory of that email among the most exciting of my radio activities. Only a DX with Bouvet in 2 meters via TEP propagation could perhaps hope to match it. Only. Thanks, Bob, and thanks to all those who consider me for this nomination. I'm aware of the arguments that supported them. The 30 long years of activity from the Holly C and also from SMOM. And for this reason, I'm even more flattered because it was not easy to understand then. An activity that has allowed over 300,000 QSO in 3 decades, whose management in terms of relations, contacts, reserves, time to devote is just different, but nonetheless demanding. I assure you that it's no way inferior to organizing a traditional DXpedition. I got so many stories about these 30 years, but I'd like to tell you one. The evening in which Pope Francis was elected, I was in St. Peter's Square with my family. When we realized that the election had taken place, the signal is white smoke coming up from the chimney. Rather than wait for the new Pope come outside on the balcony to greet all the people, I thought it would be a good idea to share that magic moment with the M radio community. Therefore, without thinking twice, I left the square to run over the shack about 10 minutes away to do as much of the QSO I could. On many of few hundreds, on many of the QSL that I received, there was the following message, more or less: thank you for the QSO. Couldn't be a better DX in a better day. It may seem odd, but one of the reasons that motivated me the most to keep the activity constant was reading the hundreds of the letters I received over the years, along with the tens of thousands of QSL, with, in addition to the report, often contains comments, expressions of thanks, and small notes of joy for a long-awaited DX. In some cases, the lust to get on a roll. I have a detailed collection of all the most significant letters and QSL I received, a job that OH2BH himself has recognized as unique. Maybe one day I'll write a book. Personally, I'm going to conclude, I consider the prestigious award that is given to me this evening not as a point of arrival, but of departure, to continue with even more dedication and passion to committing myself to the entire DX community. So thank you all again. Hope to have you soon in the log, my friends.
Thank you, Francesco. Now, I just have a question for you. I know the Soviet Order of Malta and the Vatican. Yeah. Did you have any kind of weird obstacles or security to overcome to get active from those locations?
No, not so much. HV0A is located at the Pontifical North American College, which is the kind of seminary of the American Church here in Rome, located in an extraterritorial area. They know me for 30 years or so. There's no problem to go over there. And we have a permanent shack over there, and you can see on internet everywhere. The Order of Malta is a little bit different. We don't have any stations, any permanent station over there. We gotta have the permit to go over there. Restrictions are much stronger. It's only a deep and hard job of relations. Believe me, deep and hard.
Well, maybe you can use your powers of persuasion for these little niche entities to maybe get on Mount Athos.
I will.
Okay, thank you. Congratulations. Well deserved too. I know I've worked you, and hope to work you maybe this summer on 6. So with that, we're going to go to Amanda to see if there's any questions in the chat.
There are. My first, Francesco, just hearing you describe that you were there to wait to see the white smoke come out for the Pope being announced. That's a pretty amazing experience. Not many people get to do that. So completely unrelated. We've all been locked down this last year, and this question is for both Jackie and Francesco. Did this give you time to look forward to your next project? Jackie, do you want to go first?
Yes, we do have project. I belongs with Gene K5 Golf Sierra to the Perseverance DX group. We have done ZL9 a few years ago, 5 or 6 years ago.
And for those that don't know, what is ZL9 entity?
Campbell Island, which is the sub-Antarctica of New Zealand.
Wow.
So we went there, but we had a bit of a story, and probably people will remember. So we had unfinished business, and Gene organized this for the last couple of years. But of course, with the pandemic, everything is stopped. So that's the project. The Braveheart is here. I drive every day through. I know Nigel, the owner, who is also a DX Hall of Fame. And so he's ready. He's on the starting block, I should say. But Doc is very reluctant. I went also in a meeting to go to ZL8 because I said, well, if it's a pandemic within New Zealand, we don't have any problem to travel, as you know. So I said, let's go to Rhode Island in the meantime. So I went to have a meeting with the responsible of Doc and said, well, it would be nice if we can go to Rhode Island. So I had a meeting last month, and he said, no, because of the eruption we had on White Island, if you recall, a volcanic eruption. So now it's a big problem to review the policies. And Rhode Island had a big earthquake, and everything is shut. They evacuated people. There were 8, and the island is completely shut because not of the pandemic, but because of the earthquake, the volcanic eruption.
So if it's not one thing ruining your plans, it's another.
Volcanoes, earthquakes, COVID.
I'm not sure it was meant to be. All right, Francesco, same question. What have you been doing the last year and working up on ham radio stuff? What do you plan on doing next?
First, I want you to show you something, the dark side of the DX. See this? The QSL.
I know what that is.
Oh, Bob knows about QSL. He's a QSL manager. I don't know how many DX entities.
So the dark side of the DX, you gotta, once a couple of times per month, I just, I dedicate myself to answer to all the QSL, and it's a great job. Say it again, the question, what's going next, you said?
Well, a lot of plans got canceled during the pandemic. Did you have anything planned? Did it give you more plans for the future coming up this next year?
Well, my future is to be constant, to continue to go to these 2 little entity, which is something unique in the world. It's not so usual have the 2 countries in your town. So going there, dedicate myself and the team, because to be honest, I have a lot of friends that helped me since the beginning in this adventure. I0 JBL, IK0 PRG, a lot of them a lot of people join us during the during the years. So my only desire is to continue to keep these two countries on the air, even trying from the next weekend. I'll be on CQ WPX contest and following Valerie and suggestion even on 6 meters for US, because it's not so easy.
Yeah. And Francesco, one thing to follow up on.
I mean, people used to say that 6 meters is the magic band. I say it's the crazy band, not the magic. Crazy.
I agree with that. One follow-up question here, Francesco. You had mentioned your whole team. So tell us how many people are on your team that help you out.
Some locals, most of them are Italian. But once in a while, I ask someone around the world to join us. Next would be Mike Delta Zero, Charlie Echo, and Jackie. Here, you are invited. Anyway, anyone who wants to come to Rome to operate and help the station to be active is welcome. So just help me, and we'll be together a team.
Val, you ready to sign up? I'm signing up right now.
Jerry and we talked with Francesco earlier today. We're ready to go to Italy as soon as this virus is over.
We'll just
come there.
Yeah.
All right, Val, anything else you wanted to say?
No, and I just thank you guys for coming on. Thank you, Bob, for coming on and introducing them. Lovely introduction, and your organization, CQDX Hall of Fame, that you're doing, Bob, over there is great. And congratulations, Jackie and Francesco. Well deserved.
Good job, guys.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
See you in the contest.
Yes.
Yes.
Of course, always.
I think we're sending it to Randy.
We are. Randy, what do you have with you?
Well, those guys are just fantastic. The work that they do to provide us the chance to get on the bands and yell and scream and try and get them in our logs. But I have Amy and Jerry with us tonight, and it's
hi everybody.
It's been so long since I've seen you guys.
Oh, I miss you, Randy.
I know, hugs. Well,
so anyone that's been to Quartzsite knows Amy and Jerry very well. I think they're a little cantankerous when they get there, a little ornery.
Yeah. They're kind of the Hell's Angel of mini bikes.
Yeah, they run around with their mini bikes, yeah.
Ray Novak knows what I'm talking about right now.
Yeah, especially when it gets dark and late.
It is so nice to have you lovely ladies on tonight. I'm going to let Randy interview you, and I didn't mean to interrupt, but I was so excited that you guys are here. So
yay, we're happy to be here.
Okay, take it away, Randy.
Yeah. Okay, so I've gone and pulled up a couple of your Twitter posts here. I'd like to start with those.
Yikes,
So, you guys are busy with your goggles here, and you had a real nice tweet here, and you only have eyes for you. It's kind of far away here for me to see. So these are your goggles, and I noticed on another tweet that looks like you got these Cyclops all set up to help with your software development. So what's going on with these guys?
Wow. So we're doing frequent SDK releases for our game developers that are working with our glasses. And we came up with a naming scheme, which is, a mythical creature and something to...
a little bit of alliteration.
Yeah. So that was Collaborative Cyclops was the software release.
You always got to have a special name for the projects and the levels and such. So that's cool.
And we have a very special one that maybe we'll let the Ham Nation folks know ahead of time.
Oh, I don't know.
Should I?
I don't know if Joe would like to.
No one's watching from the team. Dapper Draugr.
No, not.
Oh.
Debonair.
Debonair Draugr.
Cool. You heard it here first. So.
That's right. Tune in to Ham Nation to get all the latest scoop.
So then the next tweet here, there's been so much problems with the semiconductor world that, was it the AKM fire and another semiconductor fire, and there's some new radios that aren't coming out, and it looks like it hits you guys too. You're trying to just get a common voltage regulator chip. So what's going on with this?
Oh, it's been pretty crazy out there. First the pandemic made it to where we couldn't travel to China and work in the factory to actually build these things. So it's been a year of charades on Zoom and Skype calls of put the button here. No, don't put the button there. Stop. Actually, one of the ladies that works with us, she can speak Mandarin, and the other person on the other side of the fence that we're talking to is Frank. And so all I hear for 2 and 3 hours straight is Frank. She's just screaming his name. And then, we start to do our EVT production. It's great. We've been building, hundreds of units and quality's coming up. And then all of a sudden the semiconductor shortage hits us hard. And we've been spending late nights redesigning circuit boards and finding alternate parts. And we're having to get down to where we're buying just thousands at a time and hoarding them so that we can do production runs.
Bless our team member Ivy. She is the one that's in charge of finding all of those components for us and grabbing them as soon as she can find them. So kudos to her. She is busting her butt to find us parts.
That's great.
Today we find out that China has a heat wave, and now there's rolling blackouts. So the factory couldn't work today because of that. And
if it isn't one thing, it's another.
And they say well, we'll make up for it with Saturday if there happens to be power.
Yeah, wow.
It's a different world.
Okay, this next tweet here, I'm not sure what was going on here. Are you looking for a surface mount part or the Bill Gates, tracking device, or what's happening here?
I was prepping for my vaccination shot, and I took a precision screwdriver and shot it right through the joint of my finger. It was horrendous.
Ouch.
I mean, it went in a half inch or so. It almost went to the other side, and it instantly swelled up. But what's amazing? The human body heals so fast. I think I was back up and going in 3 or 4 days, but I was pretty spooked to see my finger instantly look like that on the right.
Yeah. Well, then besides all this going on, I think you guys were moving too, because I saw a couple of tweets about all of these things.
Yeah, that's part of my pinball collection. So unfortunately, unfortunately, our landlord passed away this year, and they decided the kids that inherited the house, they're we're just going to sell it in this real estate boom, and we had to get out in a couple months. It was brutal.
Yeah, nothing like moving during a pandemic. Normally we would have friends help us out with the move. This time it was just us.
Oh my!
And it's not only 80 pinball machines.
80.
It's I have an electron microscope. I have diffusion furnaces. I
can't even imagine.
2 automatic wire bonders, which are really big cabinets, and
lathes, mills, any of that type of heavy stuff. It's all heavy, right?
But hey, good news. Amy and I are now radioactive at the new place. So.
Oh, good. So
we got some wires up.
Oh, so yeah, let's talk about your ham stuff, what you're doing there. We'll talk more about pinballs, and Joe's got some pinball stuff he'll talk about later in the show. But yeah, what's happening with ham radio at the ham shack, at the new location?
Well, I got this new 9700 from ICOM, and I was super excited because now we're close to Mount Diablo.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got one too now.
Yeah, it's really awesome. I'm going to share my screen, and got really excited about trying to do see if I could do digital television with it. So I spent a couple weekends trying to get that to work. That didn't quite work out. So then I switched gears. We threw up Amy's long wire antenna when we go camping all the time.
Yeah.
And so we get on the air on the HF band. Get some pictures here of Amy's long wire.
I like the Bud Light cell switch to 7100. That's nice.
Yeah. I'll tell you, the 7100 is perfect for the RV.
Perfect for
the RV. It's so.
Yes. Yes.
Normally we use this out on the beach, out on the beach or out at Quartz Fest. Had to show off this picture so people don't strangle it themselves. Hijacked a bunch of these ads.
Ray gave those to us.
Yeah, from Ray. We stole a bunch of them. We put them on the wire. So whenever you see Ray, get these things. They're great for your long wire. And then this is an inside look to Amy's amazing.
Yeah, this is a 9-1 on a long wire antenna. And I don't know, maybe it's our location where we're at right now, but that thing is just performing amazingly well. Jerry has been having a lot of fun the last few nights just making contact after contact.
Yeah, in fact, I just completed one while we were talking.
So do you have any RF back in the shack problems with that type of antenna?
Yes, we do. We did put an antenna tuner right out at the Unun, and that helped a bit. But it's funny on, I think it's 80 meters. I can make Amy's mouse disconnect from her computer. Key up.
Yeah, that's a common thing with a lot of these end feds because it kind of requires, or the RF starts coming back down that coax. Excuse me. So you end up with toroids and stuff on the feed end and at the back of the radio and all the cables going into the radio to try and tame these things.
Yeah, we ended up. Well, we haven't done it yet, but we have those big grounding rods and the lightning arresters. We'll get that out there by the antenna and kind of stop some of that coming back down the wire, I hope. But then I decided, heck, what can I do with Linux? So I don't know if you all can see my screen, but I got a bunch of the tools running on Linux, plus this new open source ICOM control software, WFView, which is pretty great. It's not as good as the ICOM RFP1, whatever it's called, but it's pretty good for a little open source tool that runs on Windows and Linux. But
yeah, I've seen that. I haven't loaded it up yet. Yeah.
Oh, it's worth it. Give it a shot. It's only going to get better. But I just have to say, to try to get all of this stuff working on Linux is not for the faint of heart. It was a lot of hours. I even GPS disciplined my my clock, and it was a fun 20 hours of messing around just to get Linux to work. So.
Yeah, I just got my 705 working with my Toughbook using the Wi-Fi access point, so there's no wires between the two, to work the digital modes. Yeah, and that took some fiddling to get going. And Josh has been through all that too.
Yes, I have.
I've actually been watching Josh's videos on the 705 because I got one of those this past December for my birthday, and I'm super excited about getting it set up to do remote with it.
Wireless connection to digital modes. It is fantastic.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So what else is going on?
Oh my goodness, all kinds of stuff.
Lots of work.
Yeah.
Lots of work.
It's amazing you have time to actually build or to do ham radio. That's amazing.
Are you doing any 3D printing? No, that's another thing you got.
I myself have been doing a lot of 3D printing because some of the robot fixtures that both of us have built for the factory, there's some 3D components that go into those, and so I've been kind of getting my 3D printer going almost nonstop, printing stuff off to send to the factory.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's neat. So, Amanda, any questions in the chat room for Amy and Jerry?
Oh, they just started sending away. First, we want to know how these are not hardcore felons right now stealing from Ray Novak. No.
Well, Ray Novak has to buy us off, or we take our mini bikes and ride around his RV in the middle of the night at Quartz Fest.
And leaving maybe bottles of Fireball around. It might have happened.
I don't know if I want Fireball again after the last Quartz Fest.
What happens at Quartz Fest stays at Quartz Fest, ladies.
No, it doesn't. It ends up on Twitter and everywhere else on Ham Nation.
And here.
I think we had to delay our departure from Quartz Fest by about 6 hours because of the repercussions of Fireball.
Oh, now the truth comes out.
That happened once to us on field day. Never again. Never again. I didn't get on that radio until 10 o'clock that night. All right. Jerry, what distro are you using? A question from Cameron G.
Oh, this is Kubuntu. It's KDE's distribution. It's really cool. It looks a lot like Windows, and I'm a primary Windows user for a lot of my electronic tools. And so, but for development for our glasses, it's primarily on Linux. So this is a really nice place for me to go and not feel lost all the time. But you still, they haven't solved all the problems. You're still doing a lot of terminal and command line stuff just to install anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. The next question, we kind of were talking in the pre-show. Yes, we get a pre-show that no one else gets to see, which is kind of fun. What are your plans? You guys, you've been fully vaccinated now, and you're hoping the rest of the country is too. So you're hoping for some Hamfest to go to.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are your plans?
We're looking to go to Huntsville this year. It'll be the first time we've been able to make it to Huntsville, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah.
I'm so anxious. Like like anything nerdy. I'm just desperate to have some human contact and nerds at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. We're really looking forward to Field Day because I think this is the first time that most of us can get together. And we'll still be mostly outdoors, that kind of stuff. Bring your campers. You're in your own quarters. Are you two doing Field Day?
I don't know what our options are now that we moved a little bit north of where we were. We'll have to just look into it and see.
Yeah. We're pretty close to Mount Diablo out here, which is really nice. So we may see what's going on around that area.
I don't know. I took a look at the Mount Diablo field day from the past. It looks like it's not as exciting as some of them. West Vara is where we used to go, where it was up on top of a hill by a cell phone tower, and it was really cool. So we'll see. Find one that's really neat. Maybe we'll travel around. There's one gentleman we met that's his shtick. He travels to all the field days in the Bay Area, and he gets hamburgers at all of them.
Wow. You travel for the food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to watch out, though, because they're trying to hand out those seltzers, too. So you're like, okay, burger only.
Well, we're usually the ones bringing the seltzers. Like,
yeah.
We tend to go, like, late at night and then do the data modes, like, all night long while everybody's napping in the back of their trucks. And
by the morning time, it's like, wow, after 10 of those things.
Yeah, then you must have bacon, eggs, and the coffee ready. Like, I don't care who you are. Even if you're the worst cook in the camp, please get this ready for me or else I'm not going to survive. So those are the fun things about field day is, you'll eat food off of anything at that point in time.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Amanda, there's a chat question, and we'll let
hear it.
The question is, what is the Tilt 5? We didn't actually do the whole spiel in the beginning. We got to do it.
You guys are behind your times. We're the hottest gadget out there. So these are augmented reality glasses. And so our primary use case for them is games. So you flip open a game board on your table, and these holographic game characters run all over the table that you can directly interact with. So it can be a solo experience, or it can be a group experience.
And Josh can take us to that website.
I'm pulling it up already.
Okay.
Yeah, we're the first AR system dedicated to games, and we come in at a price point that families can afford, and it's super exciting. I've been working in the augmented reality space for going on 9 or 10 years now.
Okay,
and
so hold on
I'm
real quick.
for...
If you can stop sharing your screen, there we go. Josh can share with the viewers. Thank you. Okay.
No, I got it. We're good.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, I mean, we're the first that's dedicated to like family use and home fun. So you can be a video game player and love it, or you can be a board game player and love it. So it's very familiar because it's all centered around this board game kind of theme. And we have lots of content we've been developing for it with third-party developers that range from action video games all the way to, board games that you're familiar with. And it can be played over distance as well. So you can connect your game board to your friends that can't come over and visit with you. On the side, I'm excited about doing ham radio software for it. So I've done a couple little projects I'm going to show off eventually where 3D waterfalls that flow across your table. And I have all these dreams of being able to just scrub back and forth through the spectrum and There's something about augmented reality and having extra dimensions that once you experience it, you're like, there's a situational awareness that you don't get on a 2D screen. And I think that will play well in ham radio as well.
We got to talk offline, but there was a thought I had about everybody's remoting their station now. You know, they're all going remote with it. Well, what if you made an augmented reality remote ham radio station?
So you could reach into it and turn the knobs.
Can you put the mat on the wall?
You can.
Yeah, that'd be. Yeah.
You can put it on the wall, and there's a lot of really cool things you can do. Since our glasses, you can connect up volumetric space, like this volume in front of you. You can connect with, say, like you could have two ham shacks connected together, and it allows you to do things like reach in with your hands and gesticulate. So you can say, like, well, over here on this part of the spectrum, you know, I can see, you know, it's coming in strong or whatever. I'm trying to invent things on the fly, but.
That's the fun part about it, is it's kind of endless opportunities for what you can do with it, and I think and this is why it's open. Like, you're going to have user content where they can develop this further on their own aspects, whatever it might be.
Yeah, our SDK is open, so you can actually go download it today and play with it. We're shipping hardware out quite frequently now, and towards the summertime, we did a Kickstarter campaign. That's our target to get the bulk of those units out. And we've been pre-selling a lot of units on our website. And then right after the Kickstarter units, we sold almost as many units pre-sale. We're going to start fulfilling those. And sometime, maybe the fall, there'll be, you know, kind of general availability where you can click buy and it'll come with a very short, you know, lead time. That's my dream.
I got to play with this at Quartz Fest here, the last one, whenever that was, and the tech of how the images work. Can you explain that? I'm not sure. Because in the video it shows multiple people. So explain what happens with the multiple people looking into that.
Yeah, some of you that are familiar with augmented reality, there's like two ways you can do it, and there's one way where you try to put the image directly into your eye, and that's extremely difficult. It's super limited, and so our technology we developed turns everything inside out. And so we use a projection screen, which is this game board, and it uses a special material on it called retroreflector. And what retroreflector does is the light that's emitted from each of these lenses goes out to the game board, does a 180-degree turn, and comes back to each eye. And nobody else can see it because it's doing this very directed return to your eye. That means any number of people can sit around the table and share the space as long as they're wearing glasses. And
they all see a different picture.
Yeah. It's up to the application developer, so they can choose everyone can see the same thing, or it can be completely asymmetrical. So in a gaming scenario, like you may be doing a war sim, so you might be putting all of your little troops on the table and your friends can't see it and they're putting their troops down, and then the game developer chooses to, at the right time, lift the fog of war, and then the battle begins. And
that's awesome.
That really brings a new dimension to gaming, where you can have this collaborative game where you have a private display. But it also has a lot of unique uses for like more professional uses, for like government uses where you may be doing something tactical where you have people at different security levels. So, you know, the general gets to see all the information and the grunts only get to see what they're supposed to see.
That's seriously smart, though. That's pretty, and that's good. And on a tactical purpose, if you were in an incident command somewhere, not like necessarily war, but in any kind of emergency management situation, you got your incident commander that can see all of that and kind of develop down as well. So I think of it as on a different level. But that's go ahead.
I'm also super excited about the education uses for this. We get so much inbound on our developer relations channels about education. This could really transform the way kids learn in school, you know, in the way hams can learn in school too. You can teach complicated science. Now it's 3D. So you could say, like, if you're designing an antenna, you actually build it in 3D, you sculpt the terrain around your house, you set up the properties, you do the simulation right there, and you see the lobes coming off your antenna. Or if you're a kid in school, you sit around and you look at the molecules flying around, and you get to like break bonds in molecules. And
that's beautiful. It's awesome.
And go on and on.
Brett's like, can you do a whack-a-grid? Oh, brother, you still gotta put up an antenna and make it work.
I have dreams of when we can gamify contesting. I know the hardcore contesters are going to like flay me for this, but I think it will be like if it was separate from hardcore contesting and more casual, fun,
interactive. An unlimited class. We need an unlimited class. Right?
I've been having ideas of this for a long time, and I'm an avid contester, and I love it. So I've got some ideas too.
I want to see the avatar of like Val on a white horse, like riding in front and like flipping everyone off behind her.
No, I was thinking of something to make it more challenging, like you need to contact 10 Italians, and then it opens up a gateway to South Africa.
Oh, that's really good, Val.
Like that is brilliant.
It's like an unlockable, an achievement base. Oh.
Yeah, like
I love it.
Real gaming. You know how you unlock different things. Yeah, exactly. And it can unlock another band.
Let's make it so. Like there's a lot of programmers watching now. Let's just make this happen.
And I'll be taking those MIT courses, the free online courses for blockchain technology, because I want to implement that into QSOs for automatic, immediate,
there you go.
Not changeable, only amendable, QSOs for your.
That would make it more fun.
Valerie's on board. She's going to be a beta tester. She's going to get a development kit and get to work.
9 hours for this MIT course done. I got like 18 more hours to go, but I won't be a blockchain expert, but I'm working on it.
Well, if we want to attract the video game generation, it's got to be instant. Like when I play video games, I get instant updates of my score as I play with people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why can't I do that when I'm contesting?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you could have so much fun making certain call signs like a secret thing that opens something.
Yeah.
There's so many things you could do with it that would really be game-like.
I agree.
Amazing. Well, thank you, ladies, so much for being here this evening.
Thanks for having us on.
It's great seeing you guys again. See you soon at a ham fest. We can actually get together.
Huntsville is going to be insane. I don't even know if I'm going to see any of the booths at this point. I don't even know what's going to happen. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Beer tent's going to go wild. That's all I know.
There's a beer tent?
Beer tent?
Did you say beer tent?
Don't they have a beer tent? Like, you can't have one without a beer tent. But I was just figuring Don would have to update us on that. He's been there every year.
Is there a beer tent?
I don't know if they have a tent. I mean, they have... I don't think they sell alcohol on premises. I'm not sure. Mark Brown is in the chat room. He'd be able to tell you. But there is ample opportunity to imbibe around the... Greater Huntsville metropolis.
Okay, I know that at Hamvention people were passing out beers to people. So I mean, that's something to look. Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks, guys, and I think we have to move on to ICOM here since they're the sponsor. So
thank you.
Roll that beautiful ICOM footage. Thanks, guys.
It's that time of year again. Field Day is June 26th to June 27th. ICOM has the base station of your dreams with the IC 7300 and 9700 SDR transceivers and the portable SDR transceiver, the IC 705. Be a Field Day leader with ICOM. ICOM's IC 7300 is a high-performance, innovative HF transceiver with a compact design that will far exceed your expectations. This innovative HF transceiver digitizes RF before various stages to reduce the generated inherent noise in different IF stages. The IC 7300 is the radio that changed the way entry-level HF is designed. RF direct sampling, 15 discrete bandpass filters, large 4.3-inch color touchscreen, real-time spectrum scope, and SD memory card slot. Create your own band opening with the IC 9700. Bring direct sampling to the UHF-VHF weak signal world. This all-mode transceiver is loaded with innovative features that are sure to keep you busy. 4.3-inch color touchscreen, real-time, high-speed spectrum scope, and waterfall display. Smooth satellite operation with 99 satellite channels. Dual watch operation and full duplex operation in satellite mode. Expect top performance on Field Day with ICOM's IC 9700. IC705 is the perfect transceiver for hams who enjoy what both the great indoors and outdoors offer. Features and functionality at the tips of your fingers in a portable package, covering HF, 6 meters, 2 meters, and 70 centimeters, and weight is just under 2 pounds. See the IC705 webpage to view accessories and free software available for download. For more information on all these great field day choices, visit icomamerica.com/amateur.
And thanks again to ICOM for sponsoring Ham Nation. And thanks to George. He puts those ads together in there. They're always really great. Obviously, I'm showing off a little bit. I've got my 7610 right here that I'm very excited to have. So want to remind everybody, the link is in the description. You can go to icomamerica.com/Ham Nation, and they run a swag giveaway 2 times a month and a radio giveaway once a month. The giveaway for this month was an ID 4100. That went to... who did that go to? Charles Hagan, N9NI. And the swag giveaways this week was Brenda Fix, KC0GKV, Paul Helmuth, N4VVJ, and Lloyd Blueweiss, KA2LAC. Make sure you go to the link in the description. Go to icomamerica.com/Ham Nation, and you can get in on that giveaway. So thanks again to ICOM. We do appreciate it. All right, we're throwing it over to Don. I hope you're ready, because here it comes.
I am very ready. I will tell you, however, they may not sell alcohol on the Hamvention at Huntsville proper in the Von Braun Center, but of course you just go right upstairs and across the Sky Bridge to the Embassy Suites, and the bar is extremely active at the Embassy Suites there at the host hotel. So yeah, it's its own little ham fest for sure.
I will be there at that hotel too, so I'm very excited.
Yeah, as will I. Yeah, it's a good time. Yeah, the evenings is a good time. In fact, a lot of times, WTWW will set up live, and Ted will broadcast live from the lobby of the hotel down there, and that's always a lot of fun. I don't know if you just saw that bug that flew across. It's Formosan termite season down here in the south, and these freaking things are everywhere. They're the bane of my existence right now, so they're nuts. Like anywhere the light comes in, they're everywhere, and I've got 2 bright lights here and here, so plus this one here. So I hate termite swarming season. It always coincides with the beginning of hurricane season. Let's go ahead and get into the news of the week, and we'll also talk to Dr. Tamitha Skov, and she'll explain the machine gun comment that I gave you at the top of the show. So here's the latest from Amateur Radio Newsline. From Amateur Radio Newsline Report number 2273, this is Ham Nation Headlines for Wednesday, May 26, 2021. For our top story this week, we look skyward. Hams and others with an amateur interest in astronomy have been tracking the journey of the rover that China sent to Mars.
Although the China National Space Administration remained tight-lipped about its Tianwen-1 mission, which landed that nation's first rover on Mars, amateur astronomers had been monitoring the spacecraft's signals intensely. They were listening for encouraging signs regarding the deployed capsule that was carrying the rover Zhurong to the planet's surface. The Chinese rover's arrival on May 15th, which was Friday, May 14th in the U.S., follows the arrival of the Americans' Perseverance rover in February. While Zhurong goes about its business on the surface of Mars, the Chinese orbiter will be relaying signals between ground controllers in China and the rover. Zhurong is equipped with cameras, a magnetic field detector, ground-penetrating radar, and a weather station. Having landed on Mars, China's next venture into space will be sending 3 astronauts to the nation's new space station. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Paul Brown, WD9GCO.
Hams, start your engines, or at least your rigs. There's a special event getting underway for the big car races in Indianapolis.
When it comes to special events, the W9 IMS Special Event Station for the Indianapolis 500-mile race is second to none. For the 18th year in a row, the W9 IMS team is tuning up and listening for contacts for the 3 Indianapolis races. The amateur radio race team will be active on 20 and 40 meters for the 105th running of the Indianapolis 500-mile race, May 30th. They will be on the air beginning May 23rd through race day. The eager guys and girls just finished a week logging contacts for the the IndyCar Grand Prix. In August, they will fire up the radios for another week of sideband contacts leading up to the Brickyard 400. Making contact with the W9 IMS Special Event Station will get you an original designed QSL card. If you make contact for each race, you are also eligible for a special race certificate. For more details, check out W9IMS on QRZ.com. Reporting from Indianapolis, home of the famed 2.5-mile oval, this is Jack Parker, W8ISH.
Disasters can and do strike at all times of the year. In one rural region of Virginia, radio operators have developed a plan that musters enough communication strength to cover the emergency needs of 4 rural counties.
The group of hams is small, but their agenda is ambitious. They're organizing so they can assist with hazard mitigation in 4 small counties located less than 75 miles southeast of Washington, D.C. In this mostly rural area, hurricanes, ice storms, and flooding are all realities, as is the Lake Anna Nuclear Power Plant. R3MCOM, as this startup group is known, has a core group of about a dozen volunteers working closely together. Many are also members of the Culpeper Amateur Radio Association. Their goal is to keep an eye on Culpeper, Orange, Madison, and Rappahannock counties. Program Director for Administration Mike Murphy, KD7PUF, told Newsline, quote, "We want to reinvent what we do, providing service, education, and training to a larger community than just those who want to be hams," end quote. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Christian Kudnick, K0STH.
There are only hours remaining in the nomination period for the 2021 Bill Pasternak WA6ITF Amateur Radio Newsline Young Ham of the Year Award. Please visit arnewsline.org and click the Awards tab. Download, complete, and email the form to newsline@arnewsline.org before midnight Eastern, Monday, May 31st. We'll present the award at the Huntsville Ham Fest on August 21st. Hurry, time is running out. And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news for 4 decades and counting at arnewsline.org. With Paul Brown, WD9GCO, Jack Parker, W8ISH, Christian Kudnick, K0STH, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe. I'm Don Wellbanks, AE5DW. 7-3. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation. Now here's the solar update from Dr. Tamitha Skov, WX6SWW.
The sun has been firing big solar flares like a machine gun, and several solar storms have been launched that are Earth-directed. How will this affect you? Those stories and more in the news this week. Weather this week picks up in a major way. As we take a look at our front side sun, you can see that bright region in the north as it's rotating onto the Earth-facing disk. You can see it begins to get a little bit busy. You start seeing a little bit of activity, and as it rotates to about 30 degrees of center disk, watch this thing light up like a Christmas tree. Wham! 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 My goodness, it just starts firing flares like crazy. It's almost like the sun is going with like a machine gun. And every single time you see a big blast wave or you see one of these big jets coming out, it's also launching a solar storm. And these solar storms, as you can see, there's quite a few of them being launched. These solar storms, some of them are Earth-directed. And man, has it made it difficult for forecasters to try to figure out this mess because they're just coming at us so quickly. It's hard to kind of make sense of it all. But we do have multiple solar storms that are coming to Earth, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. Luckily, though, as this region rotates around some center disk or so, it begins to kind of quiet down. It looks like we've kind of died down for the moment when it comes to big solar flares. But we do have region 2825 that's just behind it, and that may actually pick up an activity as it rotates across that same patchy terrain that this region just rotated back through. So we are going to be kind of watching it very closely. I'm not quite sure we're going to get big M flares from that region, but we might see a pickup in flare activity once again. Meanwhile, as we switch to our magnetic configuration, you can see that big region there. That's region 2824, and then again region 2825. It's not nearly as large a region, but also over the past couple days, you can also see a couple regions that look like they're picking up just west of region 2824. So we're going to be watching these things really closely to see whether any of them manifest and become big flare players. But it looks like for the moment, we just have to get through these solar storms and then things might settle down. Switching to our M-flare threat meter, as you can see, right around the 18th, we were still sitting at pretty quiet conditions. The X-ray flux was pretty low, sitting around the B floor. But as we moved into about the 21st, you start seeing activity pick up a little bit with the X-ray flux. And that is when region 2824 started rotating across that really unstable region on the sun. And wham! Bang, 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 bang! There goes that machine gun again. In all, we had about 12 C-class flares or higher, with 3 of them being M-class flares. Now notice they're all reasonably short duration, but there were solar storms that were launched. And when we look at the propagation records for emergency responders and amateur radio operators, wow, we saw some disruption on the day side, but mostly it was just noise and very short-term disruption. But in the gray line, man, propagation went kind of weird for a little bit. So if you had some issues, especially in the gray line region over the last few days, this is why. Luckily, things are beginning to calm down a little bit. Also, with all that disruption in the gray line, that also meant that GPS reception was probably a little bit dicey and maybe not quite so stable near dawn and near dusk. Switching to our solar storm conditions, over the past week or so, we've had a little bit of activity. In fact, back on the 18th, we did bump up to active conditions very, very short while due to a little bit of a disturbance in the solar wind, but then we jumped back down to pretty much quiet conditions for the next day or so. Then again, on the 20th, we got bumped back up to storm levels. This was due to a much larger pocket of fast solar wind that actually has brought us to storm levels before. Sadly, this time it didn't do quite so well. It only bumped us up to storm levels for a short bit, but kept us pretty much at active conditions easily over a day. We got some gorgeous aurora, even down to the upper tier of mid-latitudes before things began to settle back down on the 21st. Now, since then, we've been pretty much at quiet levels to maybe slightly unsettled conditions, but mostly quiet. But these conditions are not going to last because we are expecting a slew of solar storms to be hitting us over the next couple days, and they could bump us up to easily storm levels and possibly moderate level storm with a KP of 6. Switching to our solar storm conditions and aurora possibilities over the coming week. As promised, this is going to be a busy week. We have multiple solar storms that are Earth-directed, and at high latitudes, NOAA's expecting major storm conditions. In fact, we're expecting about an 80% chance of a major storm, and it could easily last over 3 days, possibly into the weekend before things begin to calm down. Now, mid-latitudes, we're expecting minor storm conditions, but we have up to about a 25% chance of a major storm. So this means we do have a good aurora possibility to come down into mid-latitudes. And because we are having multiple solar storms hitting Earth, with every successive hit, that bam, 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 every successive hit brings that aurora down just a little bit further because it rattles the Earth shield a bit more each time. So your aurora photographers, this is going to be a very good chance. If those solar storms are magnetically oriented the right way, we could have some gorgeous aurora views that last for several days before it all kind of fizzles out. So the space weather this week has picked up in a major way. We have multiple solar storms that are on their way to Earth, with the first one hitting right around late on the 25th, but we could easily have storming from 1, 2, possibly 3 punches easily in through the 27th and in maybe even the 28th or 29th before things completely settle down, especially at high latitudes. So aurora photographers, make sure you have your batteries charged and stay on your toes, because this could have some beautiful aurora and multiple levels of brightening, even down to mid-latitudes. But just be aware you've got that bright moon to have to contend with. So understand you're going to have to check those local rise and set times. Now, meanwhile, the amateur radio operators and emergency responders, you're getting a little bit of a reprieve now, at least from the solar flares and the radio blackouts that we've been having, because the M-flare risk is definitely dying down. So you're not hearing nearly as many pop-pop-pops on the bands right now. However, when those solar storms hit, expect that the night side propagation is going to get a little strange, because we're going to have probably a G2 level solar storm hitting right around by the 26th or so. And this is going to be extended over a few days. So it may not get to be good propagation again until about the weekend. So just hang in there. And then GPS users, well, the news isn't so great for you right now. We're still getting enough issues with solar flares, that you could have some problems near dawn and near dusk. You definitely won't worry about your GPS reception there. And then also, of course, we're going to have some extended storming, possibly from late on the 25th in through even close to the weekend. And so that means if you see aurora, if you're anywhere near aurora, you could definitely have GPS reception issues. So be sure to just be very careful. I'm Tamitha Skov, the Space Weather Woman. Thank you for watching.
Excellent, excellent report as always. You need to follow her on Twitter at Tamitha Skov, and also check out spaceweatherwoman.com for up to the second, it seems like, information. And you heard Christian Kudnick, K0STH, on our third story. I'm going to be on his 100 Watts in a Wire webcast on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Central. You can find that on YouTube. Just search for 100 Watts in a Wire. We'll be talking about Amateur Radio Newsline and Young Ham of the Year a little bit. And he builds 100 Watts in a Wire as the intersection of life and ham radio. And so there'll be some car talk and some blues music talk. And essentially, it's going to be like when he and I get on HF. So that's kind of what we're going to do. It's just going to be a lot of fun. And it's always good to get on with Christian. Appreciate him inviting me on there, and also appreciate his work for us with Amateur Radio Newsline. And don't forget, get to arnewsline.org, click the awards tab, and get that nomination form filled out for a deserving young radio amateur under the age of 18, well, 18 and under, actually, anywhere in the U.S., Canada, and the U.S. possessions, and get that into us. Our email address is newsline@arnewsline.org before midnight Eastern, Monday, May 31st. And hopefully we'll pick your young ham. And then we'll see you all on August 21st at the Huntsville Ham Fest in Alabama. Mark Brown is in our chat room today. Mark is the general chairman of the Huntsville Ham Fest, and I am so looking forward to seeing you coming up in about 3 months, my friend. I am so jonesing for Huntsville. I've only missed it twice since 1995, so I literally cannot wait. And, of course, Joe Eisenberg, K0NEB, he'll be at Huntsville. Josh will be at Huntsville. There'll be a lot of people, a lot of YouTubers, a lot of ham radio YouTubers at Huntsville.
So many.
Joe, let's just bring it over to Joe and see what Joe's got. Joe's got meters. Joe's big on meters. He's a meter guy.
Uh-oh. Joe, you're muted.
He's a muter guy as well.
No. I just had the gain turned down.
You were just stretching.
How's that?
You were just stretching. You're good.
Yeah,
you got it.
All right, we got the gain up. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about meters. And when they were talking about their pinball machines, I have not seen that many in one room.
That was fantastic.
So that's incredible. I only have one, and my son has two machines. So guess what I get to work on? So the pinball machine actually, let me see if this is going to let me do this. And I'll bet it lets me share the machine now.
We're sharing there it is. You got it.
All right. And so the basement cleaning, which has been going on off and on the last several weeks, has resulted in 42 bags of trash to the curb. And I uncovered this machine that I've had since 1985. And what this is a 1975 Gottlieb. And so this is all electromechanical. There are no circuit boards, no processors. It's all relays. And I had it going back in the 80s and early 90s. And then it got kind of buried and put aside when it had some problems. And I was working full time. I didn't get a chance to work on it. With the pandemic around, we unburied it, got rid of the junk around it, and it does work now. Took a few bulbs and cleaning a few contacts. And I kind of like these electromechanical ones because they're a lot of fun to work on. It's nothing but relays and solenoids and little ratchet things that do the score and so forth. So this is a Gottlieb spin out, and this is what it looks like inside. For those of you who've never seen the insides of a good old electromechanical pinball machine, down here there's a rotor thing that it spins around and trips off different relays as it goes. This is a rotary thing that's a changeable target. And what spins it is there's a solenoid that kicks in and it spins, and then there's a ratchet that locks in and locks the numbers in place. And that was all jammed up and wouldn't turn at all. And I got a little lazy, and instead of taking it all apart, I decided to soak it in WD-40. And actually, that loosened it up real good. And then I used a little thinner oil in there to get rid of the thick stuff. And it spins wonderfully smoothly. Now you can see there's a clip lead in there that I clipped across a couple of contacts on one of the relays. And all that was so that I didn't have to push the coin slot switches to add games into the machine to work on it. And those clip leads are now out, and there is a button that's wired across the coin slot contacts. So that away it goes. As you can see, there's no speakers, no electronic noisemakers. You got 3 xylophone type doorbell chimes that ring for the 3 different types of scores. And it's got that loud solenoid that gives a big kick when you get a free game.
Yeah.
And it's fun. It works wonderful. And it opens kind of like the hood of a car. Once you get the glass off, you just lean it up, and it's got a strut just like the hood of a car once you get in there. And this, of course, has no LEDs or anything like that. These are all number 44 and number 47 bulbs in there. And it's all mechanical relays. And the main problems were that what we call the rubbers were dried out. And when the ball hit it, they were just crumbling. And so I got a rubbers kit and some bulbs and balls and a few other little pieces that it needed. And it bounces around real good now. All the bumpers work and everything. So that was kind of one of my pandemic projects. And my next one is fixing one of the 2 that belonged to my son, and get that one finally 100% going. But when you're working on machines like that, this is kind of what they used to use years ago. In fact, let me go back real quick, and you'll notice that there's this black thing right there in the middle. What that is it's a wall socket. And the way the technicians used to work on these things is they would have a pencil soldering iron plugged into that wall socket that's in the middle of the main board. And then they would take that pencil iron and they would hang it over the side of the machine so it wouldn't burn anybody, wouldn't cause any damage. And so that's how they used to work on those back in the 70s and 60s and so on. And the wall socket is still active, and I checked the fuse and everything, and it's just fine. And actually made use of that. So if you need to solder something inside there, that's what they do. It's already got the wall socket built in. Back then, all they had was analog meters. So we're going to look at an analog meter first. And this one's a pretty inexpensive one. I've found these anywhere from $6 or $7 to about $12 at Hamfests and so forth. And actually, an analog meter, even though it's not as precise as a digital one, it has its advantages. And that is, like, if you're trying to peak something, it's much easier to peak a circuit watching an analog meter. The disadvantage of this type of meter is it's a lower impedance, and so it can load the circuit. So analog meters have their advantages and disadvantages, and it's good to learn how to read them, how to read the different scales and so forth, and to have an idea in your mind how it works. And we're going to show what the digital equivalent of that is later. Now, a lot of us spend a lot of time on 2 meters, so I thought I'd show 2 meters. How about that? Now, you'll look at these things, and they are actually identical. Just depends on where you buy them is what they charge for the same darn meter. The one on the right comes from Harbor Freight. And the one on the left, I think, came from a Hamfest. And at Harbor Freight, I don't think I've paid more than about $6 for one of these things. And at Hamfest is about 9 or 10. But I'm going to show some more, obviously, some higher end meters here shortly. These things will let you test transistors and things like that. but it's a little more difficult because you have to know if that transistor is NPN or PNP, and which leads are the collector base emitter. And that's all it does is NPN and PNP type transistors. But these meters actually are pretty darn accurate. I've used them to align kits and so forth. And this is the type of meter I carry with me most often when I'm doing group kit builds, because obviously they're less expensive and they're reasonably accurate and have pretty good size number displays. So, they got plenty of functions. They're not auto ranging, but it's good to learn how to use them. Radio Shack actually is still online, and they do sell a couple of meters. And here are a few of them. These were from when the stores were going out of business. And instead of paying $60, $70 each, I was paying about $3 or $4. So I do have a few of these that I will be giving away. In fact, one or two of them I will be bringing to Huntsville, and I will be giving a couple of meters away in my seminar. So come to the kit building seminar and learn all about my techniques to have a successful kit build, and you might win one of these beautiful little meters, brand new. But you'll notice they have a variety of different functions. They can be locked into a range or auto ranging. You have one here that slips in your shirt pocket. They got all sorts of different kinds of meters. You gotta have a meter. Every ham ought to have a good working meter and be familiar with how to use it. This one has kind of a story behind it. This was in, I think, 93 or 94 when the original Heath kit was going out of business. And they had a booth in the wood floor ball arena area, and they were selling everything. I mean, they were selling to the bare bones. And I was looking for my first digital multimeter. And I saw this one, and the crowd was so thick, it was difficult to get to the booth. And I asked the guy if there was any way I could look inside the box of this one. And not knowing what it was, well, I looked at it, and they were asking $40 for these things, and I barely cracked the box open, and it says Heath by Fluke, and it was a Fluke 77. And I thought to myself, $40. These things are like $120 plus the case. This had the case already with it. So they had 4 of them. I bought all 4, and I got on 2 meters. And I told my friends from Nebraska that were with me, the 3 other guys, that they're going to give me 2 $20 bills each, and they're not going to ask why. And they did. And they walked home with a Fluke 77. And that was probably one of the great Dayton bargains. This next one was at a local flea market. I paid $20 for this one. And the person selling it, he was pretty apologetic because I turned it on and the display looked awful. And I thought, you can't get the display for one of these things. This is a 79 Series 2. But I also knew, being what I like to do, building kits and stuff, that there were kits out there to replace kind of a rubber connector thing. And I don't remember what the name of the thing is, but it connects between the circuit board and the glass substrate and provides a conductive path to light up the LCD. And those fail after a while. It just gets dirty and they fail. And so there are kits online for about $15 or $20, and it comes with the stuff to clean the LCD and clean the board connections and the replacement rubber conductor thing. And it takes maybe 5 or 10 minutes to get the thing apart and put that in there. And as you can see, the numbers look just wonderful. And on the bottom, and I don't think you can see it well in this picture, but there's a very fine bar graph on the bottom. And so when you're peaking a circuit, you can use that bar graph, which kind of is analogous to the analog meter. And so it's a lot easier to peak things rather than trying to decode the numbers and so forth as going up and going down. So for the investment of just about $40, I ended up with a Fluke 79 Series 2, which is a great meter. Absolutely, probably the most accurate portable meter I have. So everybody says, well, which one of these things do you use on your bench? How about this? This is a Fluke 8000A. And this Fluke 8000 was given to me by my boss at work. And it used to be carried around working on mainframes back in the 80s. And I plugged it in. He gave it to me because we were cleaning out the warehouse at work. And he says, oh, maybe you can use this or use it for parts. And I thought, oh, well, this is pretty nice. So I plugged it in and the numbers were jumping all over the place. And I looked it up and it was a power supply issue. But only a few days later, I went to a Hamfest in Houston where there's a guy, he's called the Suspender Man or the Suspender Guy. And he sells used Fluke 8000s and similar Fluke desktop meters. Very reasonable. He gets like $70 or $80. And he told me, well, it costs maybe $30 or $40 for him to go in there. And there's a thing, he'd take the battery out so I don't have the battery anymore. And he stabilizes the power supply and calibrates it because he used to work for Fluke. And so this has been certified. And he brought it to the Hamfest in Oklahoma, and I picked it up from him and brought it home. And that actually, a 1980 vintage Fluke 8000A is my main meter on my bench. It's very accurate, very high impedance. And so it doesn't load down the circuits at all when I'm testing them. So it sits there on the bench and it's bright and big red LEDs. And everybody says, why are you using this thing from 1980? Because it works. It's 41 years old, but it works wonderful and very, very, very accurate. So that's what I use for when I'm building kits. We can jump 41 years into the future here. And this is I don't know who makes this. I got this from an overseas website. This is a scope meter and it sells for about $80. And it not only has all the functions you could ever dream of in a meter, including capacitance and diode checks and so forth. What this also does is if you move the hot lead from the plus to the oscilloscope connection, it is an oscilloscope, and I had it there looking at some audio. And so having an oscilloscope built into the meter, that's a real plus. And the only meters I'd seen that had that was Flukes that sold for $600-700. And then when I found this for like $85, I thought, yeah, that works. And it actually works pretty good too. This is a meter that's not a multimeter. This is strictly a capacitance meter. And this one I picked up at a flea market for $5. Somebody just didn't really know what it did because it didn't measure what they thought it did. And I took a 470 microfarad electrolytic capacitor and I clipped it to the leads there. And you can see it's well within tolerance. It measures all the way down to like about 8 or 9 picofarad, actually less than that if you zero it real good. And this is very useful, especially when you're working with parts in kits, especially some of these tiny little capacitors, those little blue ones with the white print. I'm sure you've seen those things. They are very, very hard to read. And so I can read them and see what they are with a meter like this. I don't know if this one is still available, and but I made it so the picture you can see the make and model number pretty clearly on it. There are different kinds of capacitor meters as well as LC, which is inductors and capacitors and so forth. Very useful. But here's something. And everybody says, this has got to be expensive. Well, this actually comes in kit form, but you do not solder it. The case is what you put together, and make sure you put that 9-volt battery in place before you close it up. This, I think it was like $12.75 on Amazon. And I'm not kidding. It's under $13. And what this thing does is it slices it, dices it pure. Now, actually what it does is it tells you if what you've connected is a capacitor, a resistor, an inductor, a thyristor, a triac, a diode, a MOSFET, NPN, PNP. It tells you what it is and what its value is. And it's really pretty interesting. The electrolytic capacitor is telling me the ESR, equivalent series resistance. That tells you how much leakage is in it. As you can see, it says 0.14. Anything 1 ohm and up is not good. So the lower the better. And there's that same darn 470 microfarad capacitor, and this one says it's 463. So there's a little variance in here, but this thing tests everything. I can take unknown parts and find out what they are and which lead is the emitter-based collector or drain gate and source on a MOSFET or things like that. This is really slick. Diodes will tell you the cathode and the anode. It'll even light up an LED for you. It pretty much does everything. Now, if you can't cram the parts into there, you can make test leads by taking colored clip leads. I cut them in half. Then I take the wire end and I strip back about 1/4 of an inch and I twist it all nice and tight. And then I tin that lead and then I put it in the ZIF socket in holes number 1, 2, and 3, and it will tell you which lead is in 1, 2, and 3. It doesn't matter which ones you connect. So unlike those inexpensive meters at the beginning, you don't have to know. All you do is you hook it to 1, 2, and 3 and figure out what it is. This is what a transistor looks like when it's tested on it. And it's telling me it's an NPN, and it tells me which is the collector, base, or emitter. And like I said, it's like a little over $12. And if you've got Amazon Prime or something, it probably doesn't cost you anything to get it shipped to you. And it's really a must-have if you're going to be doing any kind of kit building or repair work or things like that. This is what it looks like when it has a resistor on it. You can see that one's the 2.2K says it's 2295 ohms. So it measures just about anything. Once again, it's under $13. You can't go wrong with something like this. If you want something fancier, you're going to get all the way up to just under $20 for one of these things. And this thing is a little more sophisticated. I put, once again, that same capacitor in there. Now it says it's 452. So there's a lot of variance because there are different methods that they use to probe that capacitor and figure it out. But it's close enough on any of these that you're going to know what the value of that part is. Even some of those multimeters have capacitance reading as well. And so this does the same thing as that other one does. It checks transistors, resistors, diodes, inductors, you name it. It tells you what it is and where it is. This one sells for around $20, maybe a little less. I think it was like $19.70 something on Amazon. And so all you got to search for, if you want one of these component testers, is search for transistor tester. And you'll find all sorts of weird stuff. But as you scroll down, you'll see the items that we just showed, and you'll see they're very inexpensive. Now, sometimes it says it's also an LCR. Well, that means it tests for inductance, capacitance, and resistance. But it also tests transistors, diodes, other semiconductors. This one even tests your TV remote control, and it does all sorts of other stuff as well. So that is my talk about meters tonight. And if anybody has any questions, I'd be glad to take it. And Josh, that's a variety of meters.
Oh, it's fantastic. Thank you, Joe.
And a way to do it without spending a lot of money, even on fluke meters.
Yeah, I love that. I love it when people talk about their finds and in ham fest or wherever they go, and they find something that somebody doesn't know what they have, and they how much money did you throw at that thing and pull the brand new meter out basically?
That's me. I have that story. So, Jerry's going to find this very funny. I was at a ham fest, and this was like the first year I was ever licensed, and I went without Jeff because he was working, and they were giving away prizes, and I had a little door ticket, and I won a meter, and I'm like, oh, a Fluke meter. Great. It's bright yellow, first of all. So what did this come from? Radio
Doesn't
Shack?
Fluke mean bad? do I want to avoid Fluke?
I'm on the phone and I'm like, well, I'm seriously thinking about getting rid of this and just giving it to somebody that might need it. And Jeff was like, you can't. I can't even repeat the conversation. So it was basically like, what in the bleep do you think you're bleeping doing? No, that comes home with you. So, and then, he actually kind of showed me the differences and things. Yes. Everyone buy the cheap voltmeters. I say, put them in your vehicles, well, you know what? Have a good one in your camper.
Oh yeah,
put them on
for
your
sure.
boats, things like that, because you never know where you're gonna need even to find out if a battery is dead or if there's another problem going on. But I think Jerry is passionate about this as well, aren't you, sister?
Yeah, I've been able to measure the high voltage in my Prius even with keeping a meter in the glove box. So it says, oh, I got 258 volts. Oh, okay, it must be working.
Somebody said in the chat, Fluke meters don't come in pink. They don't need to be pink for people to use them. They're tools. They're just tools. It doesn't matter what color they are.
I wish I was sitting right next to you when that happened. I'd be like, yeah, it's a piece of garbage. Just give it to me.
Yeah. And you totally. And
you gotta watch her.
I was walking through. I was like, what is this? Is this even usable? And people are looking at me like I was insane. I mean, somebody came and ran me like this was a door prize where you had to be present, and I was out eating a brat.
I would be very excited
Someone
to get
came
that.
running out to like grab me to be like, you just won the prize. You won the prize. And I'm like, okay, let me finish my brat first. And they're like, no, you got 2 minutes. Get in that room and claim your prize. So Jeff is very grateful. He uses it much more than I do. But
I'll tell you, it's good to have a variety of meters and stuff. And like I said, the inexpensive ones, I put a lot of those in one of those storage totes that I carry with me when I do group kit builds, because I might need 6 or 10 meters all at once. Yeah. And those work great for that. But when I'm doing kits, it's really nice to have a couple of Flukes nearby when I'm doing more precise work.
And don't forget your voltmeters for field day.
Definitely. In fact, it's a lifesaver.
Antenna analyzers too.
Yeah, antenna analyzers and component testers and everything, because what you're going to be doing is you've got to deal with generators, you've got to deal with power supplies, you got to deal with battery operated devices such as amplified headsets or keyers or things like that. And field day is the time when they don't necessarily work. You're going to want to check your coax to see if there's a short between the center conductor and the shield, or if the shield conducts all the way or the center conductor conducts all the way, because like our club, the stuff is stored away for a whole year, and you don't know what's going to happen. Definitely everybody should bring a meter with them.
Yep. And if it's going to go wrong, it's going to go wrong. And did we have a flag on the play, Josh, or was Bob just saying goodbye?
No, I was going to say a lot of the times when I do videos, I try and use the Harbor Freight multimeter for the demonstrations so that everybody realizes like you can just go get a cheap meter. A lot of the times, empowering people to try this stuff out themselves is kind of like one of my goals. So Harbor Freight meters are really cheap. They're not the best at all, but there's no reason to get started with that. It's great.
Yeah,
it's better than no meter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and like I said, when I'm teaching people kit building, I tell them, go ahead, get one of those $6 meters and you'll use the heck out of it. And then you're going to learn, there's these other meters that might cost a little more and might do a little better, but you've got them going and they have that meter. And like I said, I know very few kits that I put together that you could not adjust with a Harbor Freight meter.
Yeah.
The only advantage you get with the Fluke is a little higher input impedance and a little more precision in terms of the display. But in reality, a ham should have at least 1 or 2 meters. I keep one in the car, like I said, because I drive a plug-in hybrid. And I also, because I need to look at what the 12 volts and the high voltage is doing, things like that. Also for work, when I'm working on printers and stuff, I want to see if the power supply is working, so forth. So a meter, I can't emphasize enough, is not an expensive tool. I didn't show anything that if you look in a flea market or something, you'd spend a whole lot of money on.
Yeah, and I was sorry to not see any of the vintage Radio Shack ones, but I'll forgive you for that. Josh, you had another comment?
I have an old Simpson around here somewhere. So.
I do have a news thing to hit before we wrap up. Did you have any other questions, Amanda, before we start to close her out?
No, just some very funny comments. Everyone is going to follow me closely at the next Ham Fest, evidently, because they know that I'm going to give away good prizes.
What is this? Here.
Yeah, I think you've learned by now.
I am wrapping that baby in pink next time I get a hold of it. I have pink vinyl. Everyone next time will bring their meters instead of their radios to field day. Yes, you guys, it's a true statement. We overthink field day a lot, and sometimes we forget the most basic things. So this show has been tremendous. Yes, Josh has an important announcement to make. If you guys are not CW WPX contesters this week, and he has something he wants you to tune into.
Well, let me respond to that specifically. For all of you that are enjoying that contest this weekend, that's great. The good news about YouTube is that all these videos, once you go live, they live online after that forever. Like, I'm not taking it down. So this weekend is, don't worry about it, is the YouTubers Ham Fest. So we're going to have a huge collection of videos that we'll be putting together. It starts on Friday, and it goes through the, well, hopefully this is it. Is this it? I think so. No, this is not. Yeah, this is it. Or part of it anyway. Nope, that's not it. I should find the right thing before I start showing everybody. I think this is the one. Yeah. So we start on Friday, and we go all the way through Sunday, talking to many different brands, but also having discussions on how-tos. We're going to have a lot of fun stuff this weekend, and that's a perfect time because a lot of people are going to be at home. So that's what we'll be doing this weekend, which I'll be talking to. Let's see, I'll be talking to Ham Radio Outlet, Chameleon Antennas, ICOM, and I'm going to do something with George from the Ham Radio Workbench. I'm really excited to do this talk with him.
Cool.
He's got a demonstration on oscilloscopes that we're going to run, which is kind of an interesting thing. A lot of hams think they need an oscilloscope, and I think we're going to unpack some of that a little bit. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So hopefully you'll all follow the link to the YouTubers Ham Fest. Link should be in the description. If it's not, I'll update it.
Oh my!
That was quite a.
You're making Leia a little nervous here because she's like, "What new radio, Josh?"
Oh,
so
yeah,
what are you doing after the show?
So after the show, we're doing a Discord after chat. The link for our Discord is in the description. You can follow us over there. It is just a live voice chat. I'll be hosting a video to Twitch simultaneously, and I, among other things, of course, I'll probably be on my 7610. Maybe doing some FT8 or something like that, but we will be unboxing a radio that is quirky. I'll say quirky.
And then after all that, you'll probably be groveling.
Yeah,
it's not that. It's a hand. It's a handheld. It's a handheld radio, not very expensive. I don't think it's a big deal, but we'll see how it goes.
Well, speaking of 7610 and FT8, 6 meters is wide open right now. I've been working at least a dozen stations, including to Florida here.
Wait, so, are you doing work right now? You're working people right now on FT8?
Well,
I saw Jerry was doing FT8 earlier. I know they were.
Oh, I'm on 6. I'm on 6 meters. I don't know if you can see the display, but there is a lot of
there is
signals on the waterfall. So
Jerry,
so get on it.
Jerry and Amy, you were working FT8 while we were doing this, right? Weren't you?
Definitely, yeah. I've been trying 6. It hasn't been working for me down here, Andy, yet. So
yeah, well, it's doing good. It came up, started to open up during Newsline, and it's been wide open since.
Nice.
Apparently, that was my magnetic personality. Apparently,
yeah, you did good. Yeah, thank you.
So speaking of some HF, I do have to mention. 40 meters was kind of wrapping up, so there's not going to be a 40-meter net, but there is 20. The W7 UDI is going hot and heavy on 14,275, I believe he said. Listen up or down from there. And we've got the D-Star not on 14 Charlie and DMR on 31,012. Other than that, if 6 meters open, go get it. Have some fun with it. The Magic Band.
Indeed.
I love it. So I think we're ready to wrap this up,
so.
Right, Josh?
I think so.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you to our guests. Congratulations to the winners. Not everyone stuck around till the end. I don't know why. I mean, an hour and 45-minute show.
You know, just as we do, right? It's supposed to be an hour. You know, it's a little long. This might be a record release for
and I
Ham
do
Nation
have to
on my
mention
channel.
one more thing. Gordo was so sad. He couldn't.
Oh, we forgot.
He couldn't make it. Yes, and he's got this whole sporadic thing that he thinks is going to fit in perfectly for June 9th.
It's the right time.
He's really looking forward to giving us that tutorial. And he had said, I hope everyone captures the lunar eclipse. My butt was not up at 5:45 this morning. I wasn't going to do that. But for all of those that did, I'm really glad that you did, and maybe got some EMEs out of it and had a lot of fun with it, and ham radio as well. But so Gordo will be back on June 9th, and
yeah,
it's a field day month, so it's going to be all field day.
Get ready.
Yeah. So we'll talk again before field day. We'll be talking again before field day for Ham Nation here.
Yeah,
so
we're prepping you for field day for sure in the next coming shows.
Yeah, and one more plug for the Young Ham of the Year Award. If you have a young ham you want to nominate, arnewsline.org under the awards tab is the nominating form. Fill it out, get it back to us by email. Everything you need to know is right there on that form, the email address. Monday, May 31st, midnight Eastern is the deadline. So we hope to see you in Huntsville, Alabama on August 21st for the presentation. Josh?
All right. Well, with that, allow us to play you out. Enjoy the rest of your week. 73, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thanks for watching.